like getting kicked in the throat every single time I swallowed, to the point where I shoot out of bed, like stand up full on, and I start pacing around the house. I was trying to talk with a bag of marbles in my mouth, like taking the needle and just like into the back of my throat. So less than 3 days ago, I could not talk whatsoever. I was in the hospital. I was having a procedure, a surgery done on me. And all of this happened in the matter of days. Like within the last week, I had gone to the doctors. I couldn't speak. I had been to the hospital multiple times. And basically yesterday on live stream, I just told the entire story of everything that happened. And you guys know I always talk about video game story on here. So I thought I would share this story from my real life and explain to you guys exactly where I've been, what has happened, why I looked like this just a couple of days ago. And yeah, the situation was actually like well worse than I realized, and it could have been like quite literally very life-threatening, and I didn't realize it. But yeah, you'll see as we go through here, and I'll give some explanation, some breakdown as we go through. But yeah, it's been a rough week, and then at the end of the video I'll let you know what this means for content moving forward, but it's actually all good. So yeah, this is the story. You saw the video on Ink TV where I broke down what happened, why I was in the hospital. Oh, that is only part of the story, because after that is when the craziness actually happened. Before that was child's play compared to what actually happened. So brief breakdown of what happened. Tuesday, woke up, really bad sore throat. Sore throat's really bad. Go to the doctor. They say they don't know what's wrong with it. They don't think it's strep throat. They give me an anti-inflammatory. I take that, go home, feel much better. Next night gets way worse. Like way worse. In the middle of the night, I decide to go to the hospital. So this is Wednesday night into Thursday morning. I think it was Thursday morning at 3 a.m. 3 a.m. I'm in the hospital by myself. Steph's at home with the kids. I'm sitting there. Doctor finally comes in at about like 7 a.m. Maybe a little bit before that. Has a look at my throat and goes, "Oh, you have a peritonsillar abscess," which just means a cyst on your tonsil. Now this thing freaking killed. Like I really don't know how to explain how bad the pain was. Like the pain for this thing was like getting kicked in the throat every single time I swallowed, but stinging. And then like my whole side of my face started to swell to the point where like under my jaw hurt and then up into my head hurt. So the doctor at the hospital goes and says, "Okay, you have this. I'm going to get you a consult with an ENT, which is ear, nose, and throat specialist. We're going to get you a consult with them. And then I'm going to give you a painkiller, which is Toradol. And I'm going to give you an anti-inflammatory, which was the same anti-inflammatory I had on Tuesday." So I knew that that anti-inflammatory worked. So I'm like, okay, he gives me that, and immediately I feel better. And then he sends me home with the consult to the ENT. So the ENT doesn't call me, but Steph calls the ENT, and they're like, "Okay, we can get you in for a procedure to cut open the cyst and drain it on Tuesday." But here's the thing. When I was at the hospital, they also gave me an IV of antibiotics and antibiotics to take home. So they basically told me that this was going to get better. And then on Tuesday, when I saw the ENT, they were basically just going to make sure it's okay. And if it wasn't, then they were going to drain it. Okay, problem with this. They gave me the same anti-inflammatory that I got on Tuesday that we already know worked for about 12 hours the first time. So this one works for 12 hours again. So that night at about 6-ish p.m., my throat just starts to kill, like, and kill. And I have the hockey game on. I'm watching the Leafs game, and I just went out to the grocery store to get like soft food. Like I got soup, I got ice cream, and there was one other thing that I got. And I'm like, I gotta eat these things because I need to be able to eat. And no chance in hell of me being able to eat, to the point where I couldn't even drink water. So that night I go to bed, and this is now Friday night, I think. And it all kind of blended. Like this is all in one week, like a series of days. and I go to bed and it hurts. So I fall asleep, and an hour later I woke up and my throat was completely dry. So I have a cyst in my throat that is completely dry. And when I wake up, your immediate reaction is to like swallow to get saliva going, but it just freaking rips and hurts so damn bad, to the point where I shoot out of bed, like stand up full on, and I start pacing around the house. And I like woke up Steph and I'm like, what the hell is this? What is wrong with me? I feel like I'm going insane. And then I wake up, I think Advil, because at that point I was like, every 2 hours I take Tylenol. No, sorry, every 4 hours I take Tylenol, and every 6 hours I take Advil. So I had them like offset, kind of what you're supposed to do. So I'm like screaming going around the house, to the point where like, if you would have heard me, like I couldn't talk. It literally sounded like I was trying to talk with a bag of marbles in my mouth. Like that's literally what I sounded like. That was pretty actually a good impression. So I take, I think Advil, because it's the anti-inflammatory, and I go back to bed. This is around like midnight. I wake up at 1, same thing. It rips apart, start screaming, take Tylenol, try to go back to bed. I do this at 2, I do this at 3, I do this at 4, I do this at 5, I do this at 6, and I do it at 7. Every single hour, pretty much on the hour, my throat feels like it's ripping apart. I have to try to take a drink of water. And when I say try to take a drink of water, I would take a sip of water, like a tiny little sip of water, hold it in my mouth, like shake it in my mouth, try to get the cyst wet, and then swallow. And then I'd go to try to go back to bed, because at this point I had been told that Tuesday they were going to cut this thing out of my throat. So I am waiting for like all this time, it's like just to like get an appointment, which is freaking awful. So 7 a.m. hits. 7 a.m. hits, and I'm like, I look at Steph and I'm like, I need to go to the hospital. Like there's something seriously wrong with me. I need to go to the hospital. So I drive to the hospital. One of the kids' backpacks was in my truck, so Steph ended up having to go pick that up in the morning. But I get there, and maybe about 3 hours later, maybe 10 a.m. ish, 10 a.m. Doctor sees me and he goes, "Oh yeah, I get why you came in. Like your whole face is inflamed. I can barely see down your ear canal. You probably can't hear. You're probably in a ton of pain." And I'm like, "Yes, I'm in a ton of pain." So immediately they gave me, again, Toradol, dexamethasone, so the anti-inflammatory painkiller, and then switched my antibiotics immediately. And then he paged another ENT. So the other ENT comes in hours later. So I'm on painkillers. And at this point, the painkillers and the anti-inflammatories aren't doing anything. Like they're not killing any of the pain. So they get a hold of the ENT. The ENT agrees to come in and do the procedure on my throat. So that procedure involves freezing my throat, cutting open the cyst, draining it. We'll get to that. So I wait for, I think it was around noon. It was around noon because I texted Steph, I think it was 12:04 p.m. Texted her saying, "Here we go." Because the ENT specialist was about to start the procedure. So the ENT comes in, and super nice lady, and very good at her job, because she made me feel comfortable with this, which I'm like, "Okay, what are you going to do here?" She's like, "Okay, here's what's going to happen. This is a suction." I was a paramedic, so I know this stuff. She's like, "This is a suction. You take this anytime you feel like you need to suction your mouth, throw it in your mouth." I'm like, "Okay, got it." Tell her I was a paramedic. She's like, "Okay, good. You know what you're doing." I'm like, "Kind of. I've never suctioned myself." Anyway, that sounded way dirtier than it was. Then she's like, "I'm going to spray this stuff in your mouth. It's going to freeze your mouth. It's going to taste really horrible, really bitter, really sour. Then I'm going to give you a needle pretty much right in your tonsil. It's going to kill. Like, it's going to hurt really bad. Then once it's frozen, we're going to make sure it's frozen." And by the way, her making sure it was frozen was just her poking the cyst in the back of my throat. I'm not kidding you. She's like, "We're going to test that it's frozen, and then I'm going to cut it open. We're going to drain it. Pus is going to shoot out. That's why I'm wearing this face shield. And then we're going to let it drain, and then you're going to be good." I'm like, whoa, slow down. So that's pretty much what happens. She freezes it. The freezing killed. The freezing literally felt like someone was stabbing me in the back of the throat and like jamming it, like taking the needle and just like into the back of my throat. But then it froze. And then when she was cutting it open, it just felt like a whole bunch of pressure, like just a whole lot of freaking pressure. So at that point, I'm freaking out. Like I was in there by myself, and my hand, like I was squeezing my hand to the point where I could see like nail marks in my hand because it hurt that much. So then that probably lasted, like, I'm not kidding you, like 10 minutes. And she puts the suction in my mouth and pulls it out, and like the suction tube is going behind me. And she looks at me. I'm like, are we good? And she's like, I got it. And I looked at the suction tube, and the whole tube was like a bright orange, which was the pus from the cyst, which is good. It means she got all of it. So then she finishes, and I am like in complete shock. And at that exact moment, my grandpa got to the hospital. So my grandpa comes in, and I'm really close with my grandpa. And I can't speak because like the pain that I'm in. And in then those next 30 minutes, the pain skyrocketed. I couldn't swallow. I couldn't like at all. Like, and that feeling of not being able to swallow is really, really creepy. Like really creepy. So I couldn't swallow, I couldn't talk, and like I was completely in shock. So I'm like trying to text my grandpa to tell him what's going on, but we're in a hospital, so the texts aren't going through properly. So trying to tell him, and at one point I have to tell him to go grab the nurse because at this point I can't swallow, I can't speak, and I'm starting to like freak out. Like I was texting Steph, and she was like just heading to the hospital on her way. Like I'm texting her like line after line, like just like 2 words, like help me. Like I'm in trouble. Like this is not good. Like that's the only things that I could text her. And so the nurse comes in, and all I could say is in like my voice that like I said before is like, I can't swallow. And she's like, okay, let me go get the doctor. She doesn't go get the doctor. She just goes and talks to the doctor, and the doctor's like, give him morphine. He'll be fine. Like that's what they said. So they gave me a bag of morphine, and I would say within 10 minutes of them giving me the morphine, I could talk. And then I was still like the clot, or not clot, the cyst was draining into the back of my throat, and clots were going into the back of my throat. That's why I was unable to swallow, because my body didn't want me to swallow. So she comes in and says, put the suction way further back, which as a paramedic, I know, but on myself feels really weird, especially after getting it cut open. So I put it back and I pull it out. This is gross. If you're squeamish, don't listen to this part. A giant clot like this big was stuck to the end of the suction, and that's what I was unable to swallow. So I get that out. Now at this point, I was in immense pain. Like for those 30 minutes, I was in another world. I was in complete shock because of the procedure that I just did. My throat was killing me. And on top of that, I didn't think I was getting any better. I didn't think I was going to be able to swallow. But as I mentioned, it changed very, very quickly. But what I didn't realize is I was in a really bad position. These things, these cysts, these like abscesses in your throat can rupture. You can choke on them. They can kill you, and you can go septic even if they do not rupture, because it interacts with a bunch of veins in your neck and then goes throughout your body, and then it's systemic, and you can quite literally die from this. So the fact that they sent me home from the hospital literally the day before and did nothing for it was really, really weird. They must have thought the antibiotics were going to do something, but of course they didn't. The difference in pain in those 30 minutes, it went from like an 11 out of 10 pain to like a 2 out of 10 pain, and then pretty much stayed at that 2 out of 10 pain from then on in. And now I can talk. It kind of feels weird when I eat. Like it feels like things get stuck in my throat when I eat, but that pain is gone. Now, if it comes back, I have to get my tonsils out, which will really, really suck as an adult, especially when I have a job that all I do is talk. So that'll suck, but we're okay. We're live. We're making videos, and I can drink shitty coffee once again. Like seriously, Tim Hortons, what do you like? This coffee is horrible. So yeah, now I am back to normal. I can speak relatively normal. I might sound a little bit different. My throat pain is pretty much all gone. My only worry is this coming back again. That would really, really suck. It's actually quite terrifying to me. It's like almost like a little bit of PTSD every time I swallow. If there's like a little bit of pain, I'm like, are we going down this road again? But yeah, and basically I have readjusted everything. While I was sick, I couldn't record, I couldn't make videos, so I started to like figure out how we're going to do everything with the channel. There should be more, better, and more substantial videos coming on this channel. Ink TV is going to keep going with 2 videos a day. If you don't subscribe over there, I first talked about this over on that channel. Just basically 2 videos a day over there. And then the weekly reload, the new show, is every single Sunday as well. So more and more content coming your way, and I've restructured in a way where it should be even more consistent and even better, and I'm excited for the future moving forward. But yeah, this is where I've been the past week. Really sucked. It was really painful, but we're on the mend now, and that is what is important. So more story videos coming soon, and more Call of Duty videos coming. I think it should start on Friday. I think Friday. See you there.
We are